Good evening. Welcome everybody to the club, Barrel Proof Lounge, poetry, music, comedy, you name it. First of all, there's books for sale. Find the author, work a deal. We have Sarah Baker on piano. Excellent. Brad Cox is doing our video, Bradley Dee. So right now I'd like to start with Shawna Swetech, and I'll introduce her bio. I first met her at the very first poetry salon in April here. After the show, she approached me and asked if she might read in an open mic. It was later that I learned of her decades deep involvement with written word. She told me she had a book at the publisher, Kelsey Books, to be released late this summer. Its title is Standing in Their Fire. Is based on her hospital experience. Shawna is now a retired registered nurse. She has written many poems as she worked in a profession that holds many lives in the balance. She's also a visual artist and integrative wellness practitioner. To most of us, writing is something we make time to create and therefore need to burn the candle at both ends. Shawna writes from the grit of reality. Writing after hours can be a second job. For that alone, she's earned my admiration and respect. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Shawna Swetech.
So I have 3 poems that will be in my upcoming book. First one is called What I Love at Work. The morning stethoscope ritual, lifting it from around my neck, warming its bell on my hands so the patient won't jump, inserting the gray rubber tips into my ears and opening the back of the patient's gown, then resting my left hand on their shoulder. Take a deep breath, I say, then auscultate lung fields between scapulae, moving down the spine, one side to the other. The tidal flow of critical gases exchanging, the blow and breach of the chest's twin whales, inhaling, exhaling. I listen for bibasilar crackles of heart failure, coarse congestion of pneumonia, wheeze of asthma, egophony, rattle, bronchi, stridor, or silence from emphysema, cancer, a lobectomy. The overlay of intestinal digestive borborygmi, the clicks and gurgles of peristalsis echoing through the belly. All the while, I'm marveling at the body's largest organ, noting skin color, tattoos, scars, tan lines, wrinkles, hair, visible ribs, soft, fleshy rolls. Thousands of people, thousands of bodies. What I love is the brief, breathtaking intimacy of eavesdropping on organs performing their moment-to-moment miracles. Thank you. So I was a floor nurse for 35 years, Kaiser Santa Rosa. And it's a hectic job. It is a stressful job. And you know, there's just so many things going on all at the same time, many of them unpredicted. And this poem kind of captures the crazy of the whole thing. It's called Snowblind. Avalanche dream, heavy breakage of trees, boulders ripped from their footings, chunks of ice bouncing past as swirling white mass picks up speed. I'm running, but I can't stay ahead of it. Lungs burn, tears stream from the effort, the strain. Glazed in sweat, I wake up to the blare of alarm clock, hurriedly dress and drive to the hospital. Time speeds into the day. It's busy. We're short-staffed again. One patient has to go for a test, has pain, needs medicine, while another has to be readied for early surgery. She's scared, needs pain meds, pre-op teaching, a guided imagery CD to help her cope. Another detoxing and crying. Someone else can't breathe, coughs blood. The doctor must be notified stat. Next room, A patient returns from inconclusive tests. She's worried, needs medicine for her nerves. They all want me to listen to their stories, why the drinking started after her firstborn left for college, and now the last is about to go. How long that man's been waiting for new lungs, says he's sorry, someone must die first. Check clock, pass meds, better hurry. Discharge orders for another. I have to take the urinary catheter out first. Will she be able to pee on her own? Will pills work for her fractured femur once I stop the morphine drip? Now another patient's going home, needs teaching. I haven't started charting, rated the patient's activity, or reassessed pain. Call lights flash. Everyone needs something, a bedpan, a lunch tray. The discharge nurse, a family member, the lab tech all want to talk to me right away. A doctor demands I attend bedside rounds right now. I'm late. I'm running hard as I can. The hallway is empty. And everyone's busy where no one can help. I have to use the bathroom. My mouth is dry. Where is my water? Any minute now, the break nurse will come to send me to lunch, but I'm not hungry. My palms are sweating. I feel sick. Then, disaster. I discover I've made a med error. Too late. I remember the nightmare, the deja vu of panic, the total whiteout of whirling snow I couldn't stay ahead of, the spinning and spinning through empty air. Thank you. And that makes me sweat just reading it. Woo, talk about, reading these kind of poems, it puts you right back in that experience, and you just, all those hormones and emotions just, poof, you're just right back there. Okay, so I don't want to leave you feeling like that, so we'll move on to something a little nicer. This one is called Body Celestial. Beauty is only skin deep, but ugly goes clear to the bone, someone once quipped. Well, I'm a nurse and a poet, and the bones I've seen are white, lovely as a winter moon. And the textured skin, dermis and epidermis fulfilling their oath, everything kept in, everything else out. What, may I ask, is more beauteous than the body, its full miracle, every pulsing, electrified cell? Muscles flexing, fingers moving, chambers of the heart pumping 4,000 times an hour. The 5 lobes of the lung like a squeeze box playing oxygen to every organ. Over time, it might be true, beauty dives to a deeper definition. Burrows beneath scars, wrinkles, the pigmented spots of earned wisdom. But let's be real. Life is no beauty pageant. It's a split-second cellular marathon run to the end when we finally lay it all down. Sinews, tissues, bones, everything, from metatarsals to cranium. With our last breath, the light of us blooms on into star, into nebula, a body celestial, corpuscular, and infinitely so much more than merely beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much.
My next guest is Enid Pickett. Enid is a poet, writer, playwright, and teacher. My first experience with her poetry occurred sometime last year. A friend dropped a book off to my wife, Sarah Baker, and as a birthday gift. I came home one day from working, noticed it, picked it up, read through the eyes of Enid off from the table. I think I need to restructure that sentence, but we'll keep going forward. From the first words I read, I was stopped in my tracks. I thought, these poems, this poet, she's the real deal. Nothing is contrived. It's straight out from the heart, you might say. I had a feeling that every line, every word was authentic and natural. A few months later, I was invited to see a stage reading of a play she wrote, Juneteenth, at the new Vintage Church in Santa Rosa. I was again swept away by her artistry, musical sense, and direct communication with her cast. and with the audience. Ladies and gentlemen, Enid Pickett.
Hello, everyone. Shawna, you were talking about human beings. This is another approach to human beings, and it's called 93% Stardust. We have chiseled, chatteled calcium in our bones. Blessed with the motherland chocolate milk, we have innate, infinite iron in our veins, black, red, green. We have indigo blood cells, burnt, bittersweet, living history DNA, glimpses, fever flashbacks and visions, traces of transient, traumatized black farmers' secret scars, stained with crystal-cut copper, carefully carved from stolen sticks and stones. We have catastrophic carbon in our souls, ebony constellations, drops of blackened ash, smoke kissed by the Jim Crow's charred, chapped lips, whispering microaggressions that never, ever stopped our flow. We have navigating nitrogen in our brains. Chemical reactions trigger elegant sweat, Thanksgiving tears, sweet dreams, and sweet realities. Remember evolution? It remembers everything. We are 93% stardust, celestial covert raindrops, morning moonbeams wet with dew, cosmic colored only memories, cakewalk downtown on 4th Street, throwing shade and sipping tea. We are left-handed shadows on South Side sidewalks, listening to hearts humming hymns, sliding out sunlit windows on Sunday mornings. We are home-sped struggles and traumas, homemade histories, lost and found legacies, broken promises, postponed Afro futures, darkened destiny dust, dissipate daughters' dreams. We are siren spiritual souls, baptized in fiery iced onyx, praying, remember who you are. We are standing in Sankofa shoes, believers of black girl magic nursery rhymes, melanin metamorphic moments, becoming blue-black diamonds that are blood diamonds forever, that never, never die. We are 93% stardust. So, Sarah, did you want to join me? Sarah's going to be a little bit of a musical dressing to the second poem, which is called My North Star. And it's taken from my book. This book was born a year ago in August, and it's a miracle because there's a special story of how the book was actually published. So I'm going to find it because I don't remember. It's a pound of poetry, and I don't remember. There's 100 poems here, so I'm going to find My North Star, and then we can start. I want you to think of your North Star, too. My North Star. Miles and miles and miles and miles and miles of melanin midnight sky. Yesterday's night's daydream about her. Queen of the mid-morning star. 9 nights, 99 million steps nearer to north, and her naked Negro shade. Orion's nighttime lover, lonely, lamentingly longs for freedom, remembering their secrets, remembering their resilience, remembering 10,000 whispers, each effortlessly echoing Frederick Douglass's wise whispering words, wet with the blood ink of liberation. They fly below the storm. 10,000 side-eye slants saw Harriet secretly slip silently. Quilts on trees, Quilts on fences sing silently to the North Star. Hundreds of hidden less words hiding in plain sight. See through history's carefully cataract, careless eyes. Sunday's sunset slides in after supper, hiding crystal clouds in their eyes. Time to travel down deep on that underground road of rails. One way along that North Star cosmic track. You don't need a ticket, you just get on board. Ancestral footprints fill your shoes with love and night vision, remembering real human heroes, dead and alive. So steal away, steal anyway, home.
My next guest is Lee J. Perce. I first met Lee at his granddaughter's 21st birthday. I heard a piano playing and followed it until I found him, sitting there. "I'm just messing around," he said. "I don't know much about music." Well, it sounded like he knew something because I heard it and followed the sound. Later, I heard that he was writing a book, his first book, a memoir about his amazing life, travels, and experiences. Lee grew up in rural St. Helena as the first son of a family of 11. His father, Spencer, was a vineyard worker. His mother, Elizabeth, did domestic work for well-to-do families. He attended St. Helena High School and was encouraged by a teacher to run for student body president, which he did and won. Soon after graduation, he attended Merritt College, then was drafted, Vietnam days, but he always loved this area, and he moved back. After the war, he finally moved back to marry Diane Pierce, his wife of 30 years. After various business ventures, he won a seat on the Santa Rosa City Council. Ladies and gentlemen, Lee Perce.
I'm the author of a book called A Rare Vintage, subtitled Growing Up Black in Wine Country. If it hadn't been for my mother, who I'm going to read about first, I'm not sure who I would have been today or what I would have looked like or anything, because they were born and raised in Louisiana, Monroe, Ruston area. And my mother found out that she had allegedly been molested with me in the womb. And so when my dad and the rest of the people heard of that, they got on the telephone and they called an aunt and uncle we had living out in Oakland, California, that had a grocery store called Love's Market. Some of you may know that who have been to Oakland. That was their market. And so the Loves came out to Louisiana immediately under the cover of darkness, which is the name of the first chapter, the 24 chapters in this book. And that's the first one, Under the Cover of Darkness. So my mom will be the first chapter I read about, because that wasn't the only thing that, because of her, unfortunately, having that visit upon her with me in the womb, that was terrible. But had they stayed there, God only knows who I would have been. I would have been picking cotton and doing all that stuff and never got a college education, as I have done. And that was one of my things. I have to graduate college. Otherwise, I don't know if black people can do that. I need to prove to myself that it was able to do it. So I did that. So without any further ado, in your permission, I'd like to go ahead and read my mom's chapter here. I don't know if you all can see that. I'll pass it around later. But that's her wonderful picture. She used to work in hospital, the Veterans Hospital and so forth, and a very, very wonderful lady. Now, let me see if my eyes are going to let me read under this light here. Not under these glasses. Had another pair. Okay. Please don't let me sit down and flush the glasses off. All righty. So this chapter is called Meet My Mother. One day my mother took me, and oh no, I'm right in the middle of that chapter. No, that is the beginning of that chapter. Get my mind back together. One day my mother took me and several of my siblings along with her on a quest for fish. During our fishing expedition, my little brother Gary Richard got too close to the water's edge and slid down the muddy embankment and into the water. None of us, including my mother, could swim. I still can't. And we kids were frozen with fear. My mother frantically shouted, "Grab him, grab him." It was too late for one of us to grab him as he was flailing and floating away from shore. My mother then leapt into action as her strong maternal instincts kicked into gear. Fully clothed, she made her way into the water and headed toward my brother until she was able to grab him by the neck. She was fully clothed and she made her way through the water, and when she reached him, they splashed and sputtered their way back to shore. In addition to seeing that very close call, I have a memory of Martha, that's my sister, my oldest sister, taking her first and only swimming lesson at a community pool. My mother and I were watching her from the sidelines as her instructor encouraged her into the shallow water, and her progress looked promising. The instructor then guided her to the deeper part of the pool, where she slipped beneath the water and began panicking, flailing her arms and screaming. Well, this spectacle certainly cooled my jets about learning how to swim. Myself, and to this day, I have never mastered the art of swimming. And it would look to you like I can do all that stuff, right? But no. My mother, Elizabeth Ann Pierce, would rise early, prepare breakfast for all of us, get us ready for school and onto the school bus, and head herself on to her domestic work. She worked for some very well-known wealthy people in Napa Valley. She had established long-term relationships with a couple of Napa Valley's most affluent and influential families, Ivan and Barbara Schock, whose children I went to school with partially, and Fred and Diana Holmes. Fred and Diana used to bring celebrities to their home there in Oakville, very well-off people. Lost the spot here. The Shock and Holmes families adored my mother and were always kind and protective of her. And by extension, they loved her family, including me. Sometimes after school, I would do yard work for the Holmes family and or wash their two late model Lincoln Continentals, 1960 vintage, featuring rare so-called suicide doors. Remember those doors on the back open this way instead of that way? And both of their cars had that on their Lincolns. I'm gonna have to stop looking away. Featuring their daughter, always seemingly fascinated by me, would trail me as I worked in the yard for them. I did my best to be as entertaining as possible for this young lady. She was probably 10, 12 years old. I worked in the yard. I did my best to entertain her by asking and answering questions. Thank goodness that seemed to work. However, she was always full of questions and answers herself. And if my answer, by the way, my answer to one of her questions was different from her answer, she would not hesitate to leave me in the yard with my mouth agape as she ran into the house and interrupted her mom in the middle of the VIP party with all these dignitaries and so forth in there. She would, little Laura would run right into that house and interrupt her mom in the middle of these parties to validate Lee's answer or Lee's question. Yeah, that was a little scary there for a minute. And then she said, needless to say, I didn't continue to play the question answer game with her. At the end of her long days, my mother would prepare an evening meal for us, often with the wild game my dad has scored on a hunt. Pickings were often slim. We had like 11 people in our family, 9 children and 2 adults. And my dad would be the guy going out making sure we get food and all that sort of stuff. And so pickings were often slim, but we always had food on the table, and that's a true statement. She would beckon us all to the kitchen to fill our plates, and then we would search out a place to sit and eat our meal. With a family of 11, there was no such thing as all sitting down at the table at the same time. My mother had a great sense of humor and laughed easily, especially when surrounded by her family and friends. She took excellent care of family, washing, shampooing, and styling the girls' hair, washing and ironing everyone's clothes, and keeping a tidy home. One day, my mom scolded me for lacking participation in household chores. I felt her castigation was unwarranted and decided I was going to show her and run away. I decided that I would head to the always welcoming arms of Vina and Papa. Vina and Papa, Grandma and Grandpa, maternal grandma and grandpa. After hastily rummaging through my clothing to find some garments for upcoming school days that were additionally warm enough to make the 2-mile trek to my grandparents' home in St. Helena, I headed out. In my haste to get away, and as fate would have it, I was greeted with light but steadily increasing rain showers. Now, what should I do? What went across my mind? I thought to myself, I cannot reverse my plan and not run away from home and have mom know I was just bluffing. A concerning thought was that the next time she felt I had fallen short of my responsibilities, she might just kick me out of the house into the rain or shine. So instead, while dodging raindrops, I quickly weighed my options. Walking to my grandparents' home was unrealistic, so I opted for hiding out in a local cave, hoping against hope I didn't encounter the lion. If you haven't read the book, the lion is in the book. Okay. The lion I thought I had seen once before, and waiting for my mom and dad to miss me and come looking for me. I had chosen a spot near the entry to the red volcanic rock caves where I could see anyone coming or going from our house. I kept an eye out for the search party, but sadly didn't come. My mom, when she said it, she meant it, you know. And as the rain continued to fall, it became colder, and sunset was looming. So as my heart began beating faster, I tried to make what I thought was an awesome plan, which, which might even teach my parents a lesson. About scolding me, a lesson about scolding me. In the future, no scolding, and causing me to set out on such a dangerous trek. My plan was to simply go back home, and when predictably, my mom would ask, "So, what are you doing here?" She would. "I thought you were running away." My reply would be, "I was walking along the highway, and a highway patrolman pulled over and asked me what I was doing out there in the rain, and whether my parents knew I was where I was. He also asked me where I lived and then proceeded to drive me back home and told me never to let him catch me doing that again. No surprise, neither my mom nor anyone else in the family believed the word of my story. I was prepared to take whatever punishment my parents dished out. But luckily for me, they settled for time served in the elements. My parents enjoyed their opportunities to socialize and shake off the cares of the world. They would fire up the turntable, play cards and dominoes with their friends, and danced to the sounds of Little Richard, Chuck Berry, Muddy Waters, Chubby Checker. Any of these ring a bell with anybody? Yeah, yeah. Uh, and drinks of choice included silver satin, silver satin, Burgermeister, Pabst Blue Ribbon. Most everyone enjoyed an occasional cigarette, but back then the room would be filled with wafting smoke of Lucky Strikes, Pall Mall, Chesterfield Kings, and Marlboro. When my older sister and I were in charge and our parents were at work, we would from time to time sneak a cigarette from one of their packs. Get ready for this now. One of their packs. When my older sister and I were in charge, oh yeah, there's where I was, from one of their packs, light up and take a few puffs, assuming we were getting away with it. We were surprised one evening to be called before them. Both of us offered a cigarette. You know, parents were pretty smart. They reached out and offered us one of those things. We both declined. It was just too intimidating standing there in front of our parents and our siblings who were eagerly waiting our reaction. Message received, loud and clear, without the smoking demonstration. I didn't try a cigarette again until I was in the military. Miles away and many years later, where smoking seemed to be part of a soldier's life, and that's for sure. Okay, so that's the end of my mom. I want to just add on there that I chose her because my mom, besides just bearing me into the world, bringing me into the world, two things happened later. You know, because you read the book. Two things happened later in my life, and there are probably other things besides the not letting me drown. Oh, not letting me drown. That was one of the things too. But you know, my mom knew she wanted me to live and survive, and all of that. And so, as someone mentioned earlier, Tim mentioned earlier, my life was just full of opportunity and things that actually attracted me to other business people. I've owned two companies of my own. You're seeing some of these rings on my finger. I had a company called Tavolite Enterprise. You can Google Tavolite. It's a gemstone that my partner and I put in the marketplace back in the mid-2000s. And then in 2008, we had to let things go because of the, you know, our partner, the people who did the jewelry and so forth, had a hard time finding money to keep themselves going. But it went viral. It was on the two programs that sell stuff on the store. They're leaving my mind now. They're on TV, QVC, and what was the other one? Say it again. That's it. Yeah, those two were going crazy over Tavolite, you know. And my wife is talking about maybe opening it back up again, but she's not at like, I'm 78, she's 76. And so she's thinking about it. whether or not she should do it. So many people really love this stone, and obviously I love it too. I thought I would wear it today so you could get a close-up look at it. But anyway, that's kind of my mom's story. I want to throw in two things about her that are not in here. When my father passed away at an early age, 42, and he worked for Vineyards Incorporated in Oakville, California, when they moved from Louisiana out here. He was not educated. He had no schooling. He never even stepped into a kindergarten. So he had no real understanding of anything formal with education and that kind of stuff. So my mom kind of had to step up and handle issues and so anything to do with farming and tractors and trucks and all, he was there. He didn't need any help there. But on other stuff, he did. So when my dad passed away, 42 years old with a heart attack, he was fighting a brush fire right below our house, and he was totally panicked. You know, he's thinking, I got all these kids, 9 kids, that I'm going to wind up leaving for their mom, and can she do it? And then he's gone. Okay, and she's left with all of us. One of the things my mom always wanted him to agree to was to buy a home. And he could not see where they could afford that. So he would always balk at buying a home. After he was put away and all that, where she could kind of regain and understand that I'm in charge now, I have all the new kids, and I've got to do something that's going to ensure your well-being and so on and so forth. So there was a new housing development, some of you may know, that was being built in Vallejo, California, on the 37 that goes to 80 and then takes you to Sacramento and all that. There's a new housing thing being built called, was in Vallejo, Country Club Press was the name of this thing. And my mom said, I'm in charge now. I'm going to get one of these. And they were selling for $16,000. And that was a big price even for that back then. And here's a lady with 9 children, and she's going to buy a home. So when she went in to do that, the real estate guy quizzed her on a couple of things and got to the how many kids do you have? She told him. And, you know, who else is going to be, are you married and all that? She gave all the stuff that wasn't going to help her situation. And accordingly, the guy said, I can't help you. And so my mom, I think I take after her a lot. That's no reason to. My mom said, no, you're not getting away with that, in her mind. She didn't say that to him. So remember I said earlier, she worked for these very wealthy people. She came back and told the main guy, Mr. Shaw, that the incident that happened there. He said, come with me on this, let's get in the car. She and him drove back to Vallejo to where this happened, this event. And Mr. Shaw walked right in with her, and he asked the guy, said, why didn't you sell her the house? And he said, well, she told me she had 8 kids, 9 kids, and 8 was there because there's another chapter about we lost sister, and a daughter. Terrible. So anyway, when this guy heard how many kids this black woman had, trying to pay for a new house by herself, he said, I can't do it. And so Mr. Shop, Ivan Shop, he said, you're selling it to me. I'm buying it. And he got the house. My mother had that house paid off by herself the rest of her life. He passed in 2015. And fortunately, I was the lucky child that saw the last breath she took and the smile and the whole thing. And whenever she talked to people, her biggest story or interest was always to tell them she owned a house, about her house, kids. And so, bless her heart, she gave us, she had my sister, I could break up, yes. My sister, I'm gonna have to hold that. My sister, Gwen, who is a middle child, just informed me a little while ago that she published a book also. I had no idea, but she published a book. It's out. It's called Seeds of Faith, and it leans on the Christian side, so she'll be published in that genre. And she is such a sweet, beautiful girl. My mom, I hear from the other siblings, that my mom thinks Gwendolyn looks like her daughter, my sister, that you'll read about, you read, that was killed at 7 years old, crossing Highway 29 between Oakville and Rutherford, tossed from one lane to the next, and we never saw her again. And she's in the Paupers Cemetery out there. Lost her name when that all happened. There's no Mary Ann anymore. There's a number. So you'll see in the end of that book, in the epilogue, I'm going to see about having her exhumed and put in with my dad. There's extra space. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're back. I'd like to read a poem that I wrote. It's called Talking to a Memory of Robert Kennedy. I saw Robert Kennedy at USF in 1968 or 67. And things like that stay with you your whole life. So I put pen to paper and try to make something out of the memory. So it's in second person, it's talking to him. It's late afternoon on an Indian summer day. You stood at the podium at the University of San Francisco. After your speech, you took questions and bantered with the crowd. The auditorium packed with students, faculty, and people from the streets was vocal and rowdy. A ballpoint pen in my shirt, Vietnam War protest flyer in my hand, I squeezed along the stage, nearing a crowded dock. Your well-tailored suit held a slight shine. Your hair, cut yesterday, dusted with gray, was a news item in those days. I took notes from the front corner, slight, beaming wit, creased forehead, and your voice as sharp and swift as an arrow. Slowly, you won over the snappish audience like a hand warms another in a cold world. End the Vietnam War, tax incentives for businesses to create jobs, rebuild our inner cities, end discrimination with education. I I think you should be like me and get a haircut, you advised a student, blonde curly hair draped over his shoulders. Audience roared. Even the student threw his curls back and laughed in a wide face. After the banner cooled to a celebration buzz, you told us good night, flashed a two-fingered peace sign and a tooth and dagger smile that showed you enjoyed the rough and tumble with the audience. A few minutes later, climbing down the front of the stage, you turned right toward me and hundreds of others, waiting a step at a time, reaching for hands. You seemed packed into your suit, as if riding a subway. Spying my hand dangling there, you peered up and reached for it. Your pale blue eyes focused on the inside. A hint of dread glazed them over. Turning away, you stepped among the heaps of hands reaching for you, one half step at a time. You waded through the bodies, crushing in. Everybody hoping for you to see them on your way to the White House. Thank you. I'd like to bring back Enid Pickett.
So this is a local history poem about a woman that not too many people know about, but she's buried right here in Sonoma County and in the, I think the Sonoma area. Her name is Mary Ellen Pleasant. Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, your fiery passion defied danger and death. You plant herbs of your ancestors. You sing coded secret songs to the enslaved. Your beauty crossed color lines. Your ingenious ingenuity alerted passengers on the Underground Railroad. Your birthmarks, DNA gifts from your voodoo queen grandmother, Madame Marie Laveau. She knows, she knows. She knew your Black intelligentsia, your wealth, your courage, your dignity, your generosity, your grace. Your Black life mattered to more than just a few. Your wild and wondrous warrior goddess accomplishments enshrined in museums. Your disbelieving deeds define delicate destinies. Your life paths intersectional and multidimensional. You walked and crawled, you strolled and sprinted, you danced the jig on bloody Black feet during 1817 to 1904. Your herstory hidden in the columns of history. Your fragile fragments linger on streets, Bush and Octavia, Old Town San Francisco. Full moon mornings, your ghostly mists float free down foggy Fillmore Hills. Your overdressed spirit cakewalks down paths of social justice, cakewalks down paths of kindness and deceit, cakewalks down paths littered with sharp shards from ceramic and crystal ceilings you cracked and shattered, leaving bloodied fingers from the first Black feminist millionaire. The first Black feminist millionaire, Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, cakewalks down paths of patriarchal democracy, slowly strolling down paths of power, painted with periwinkle passion. Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, born enslaved, born to survive, born to run businesses and guns, born to finance abolitionists, born to spy on Confederate generals, born female, born to manipulate men and their senseless systems, born to grow old in Sonoma County, born to excel and exceed $30 million, one lifetime. Your French perfume, mildly mephitic, of espionage and lavender on silk. purple gloves. Miss Mary, you were on fire, burning sexism and ageism and racism and feminism and classism and Maryism. Oh, what a time it was. White men haunted you down in hate. White men fearlessly fell in love at your feet. White men sued you in callous courts. White men courted you in parlors with port. Yes, rest. Rest in power. Rest in gratitude. Rest in respect. Rest your full life. Your memories, your dreams, your histories all rest with you in Sonoma County. Thank you, Miss Mary Ellen Pleasant, Mother of the Human Rights of California. So we have some history here. She was fierce. She was really very fierce. She was a very fierce role model. And I can imagine, this was back even before the gold rush time. And she made her money in San Francisco as an owner of brothels. And the people who were there for the gold actually helped create her fortune. And so Mary was very pleasant, and she's not well known, so I'd like her to live on in our local history. And this is another local reference. I'm the jazz poet laureate for Hillsburg Jazz, and I consider myself a jazz poet. And Hillsburg has a jazz festival every year, and they also have a jazz choir that I also sing in. And this past June, we sang and performed, and I dedicated this poem to the jazz choir. It's the Freedom Jazz Choir in Healdsburg, and it's called For Just One Day You Party with Your Ancestors. Meet and greet blues, the great-grandmother of roots and soul. Her children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren are all over the world. She calls them by name: rock and roll, funk, Motown, country, folk, soul, samba, world music, house music, trap music, reggae, hip hop, and little R&B. Blues gently graces your lips and fingers so shiveringly, so soulfully, every Saturday and Sunday. That's C&C time. Y'all know what C&C time is? Well, C&C time is when you sing and you play in clubs and churches. Blues. She sings in 4-part harmony, all 4 parts at the same time. She gloriously gifts every artist and every musician who ever made their instrument cry real tears, or made you cry, or moan, or groan, or shout, or murmur, or feel the cold-blooded, wicked chill touch of a frozen kiss while singing and playing the blues. Blues. Sorrowful joy, musical muscle pain makes your bones ache. It hurts so bad, but it feels so good, blues. Melanated melancholy muse music. Add a swinging low-down beat, add a hook, and you hear a hint of lonely lamenting lullaby like Buddy Guy's muse slow dancing with his guitar. Their shadows sliding slowly across some smoky juke joint dance floor. Bittersweet blues. You move slow because it hurts so good. You see every hue of blue. Kind of blue, blue velvet, black and blue, every hue of blue. From midnight blue to cloudy blue skies. Blues harmonizing sounds heal your soul. Her liquid flavors fuse with sorrowful sounds and silence. Blues rubs you down with pink sea salt and Dixie peach. She soothes you with savory and sweet salves Mama used to make. Flashback of blues and gumbo every Sunday after church. Blues radiates from any time, any zone, any place, past or present. Let's hear a little keys, Sarah. blink and a million lifetimes float by. Blues birth blissful, beautiful, pathetic babies. 3 timeless triplets born sometime before the Civil War and the Great Oppression, named harmony, melody, and rhythm. Identical, daringly divergent. Serious soul sisters struggling to survive. They sang every day in geometric harmonies. You blink again, they grow stronger and stranger, surviving and struggling as they held their breath underwater and swam for 400 years, thriving, listening, learning from their ancestors, humming, dreaming, singing how to be free, just for a few hours, just for a few days, just for a few years. Suddenly, several centuries of stolen, broken promises fly by. Harmony, melody, and rhythm found a new song, a new tune with secret superpowers buried in her boots. Ask Robert Johnson, godfather of the Delta Blues, walking down Strange Fruit Boulevard with Mahalia prayers in his pocket, singing about life and death and the in-between. Did you know you dream strictly in blue hues? Being mindful of blues with a mind full of blues. Yesterday's blues always stops by every Tuesday, hopeful, hungry for heart-healing music. She sits down, pours herself a bottomless drink, sings that same old sad, sad song, Happy Haunts from Ma Rainey and B.B. King. Blues reaches you really deep down on the cellular level, cell by cell, note by note, blue by blue. Blues music from the dark side of the moon, from red dirt soil, the struggles and bruise of broken promises, daily dead disappointments, and trying to make $1 out of 15 cents. Now the world knows blues. Did you know blues singers began in church, like Sam Cooke and Muddy, and the Empress herself, Miss Bessie Smith? Their spirits are standing with us, singing with us, as we honor our ancestor blues. You feel like standing bare feet in Bottom Bush, like pouring pot liquor libation, like singing freedom songs from Africa to Alabama, like being in the Healdsburg Freedom Jazz Choir. This choir, a collective of various vehement, valuable voices from all walks of life. They walk in the same blue suede shoes, singing "Oh, Freedom" and A-Train. Their voices evoke a magical time from not that long ago. Singing with the ancestors of blues for over 12 years, directed by Tiffany Austin and Greg Jacobs on the keys. Marcus Shelby is the AD, artistic director. Everyone is welcome. All voices are invited. Wonderfully warm, wise bunch of singers celebrate with their voices, their love of jazz and the blues, where everyone is free for a Saturday afternoon. Let's hear a little bit more, Sarah. Let's hear a little bit more. Jazz choir started like seeds thrown across a fertile garden patch. Those singing seedlings sang in the sun every Saturday. Those seeds are no longer a band of strangers. They sing together. They listen and learn from each other. They believe together. They found purpose. They found community, found friends, history, found culture, found their shared love of music. Magic always happens when you sing with different voices. You grow and harmonize, finding common grounds and common chords, even a few discords now and then. You know, humans are like that. Miracles happen when you sing together, being together, blending spirits together. You create together, enjoy together, being free together. Sudden outbreaks of smiles and heads nodding, toes tapping, and impromptu singing is always common, with lots and lots and lots of laughter. If those freedom jazz choir walls could talk, all the words would be on the dance floor. So close your eyes, open your hearts. You might just hear a gentle giggle gliding gingerly into your ears. That's Riley, smiling and singing along with us. She's there to guide us, singing and singing, singing to be free. Thank you. Thank you, Sarah Baker.
Anybody else spellbound by that? I certainly was. Okay, we're going to have a couple of short poems. Abby Bogomolny, creative writing instructor at the JC. The school starts, or classes start August 20th. I met her a few weeks ago. She asked to come, and here she is.
Hello, everybody. I'm going to share a little bit about my life in short shorts. I'm from New York City, from Brooklyn. They say Brooklyn is not a place, it's a blood type, you know? It's true. Okay, so this is kind of when I was little. We played, you know, we didn't play these little softball games or anything. We played iron tag. So, okay, I'll share with that, and then we'll take you to California, and we'll see if we do a pit stop someplace else. I taught at the JC for 16 years and 30 years every place else, you know. So I'm coming out of retirement to just do one class this year. So anyway, iron tag. Here we go. Life beneath Brooklyn maple leaves. Foghorns and subway sounds fill the night. Sharpened sticks on concrete, stoop ball and alleyways. Pensy pinkies hit the penny, playing iron tag right. Doo-wop and shoop-shoop on corners and the stoop of a second floor walk up, small but bright. The view, a brick courtyard, crisscross of clotheslines, socks and nightgowns sway, echoed voices rise. An upward draft, aromas of diaspora, soup of chicken, deli knishes of kasha, rotis, pasteles, arroz y gandules, falafels, kebabs, and cardamom biryani. Swirls of the world over streets that speak languages of promise. Every mother to child says in corner luncheonettes and grocery stores, "Stop touching that candy." So about a week or two before the Loma Prieta earthquake, I had this feeling, and this was kind of a prediction of the earthquake in a way, but this is what came out of it. The blue-green jewel, her body. There's a river of light on the highway, they want to go home. They don't eat their dinner with family, they eat all alone. To someone, somewhere, another young person in a compact car hears the low cry, wound to her middle, bleeding. Thousands of parking lots, thousands of cars choke on themselves, roads twist, snake-like, a skin of tar stretched so tightly crumbles. Even their houses are on wheels, piled backseat high. Food, paper, shoes, everyone burns. Everyone burns slime from deep, searing holes. The blue-green jewel, her body. To anyone, anywhere, do you feel the central cry? Do we continue to trade the green sweetness, highways swathed over the wounds to her middle, bleeding? There's a river of light on the highway, they want to go home. They don't eat their dinner with family, they eat all alone. Is that it? Okay, thank you very much, everybody. I'll be back.
Lee is going to come up and blow our minds.
My friend Sarah is going to take us on a little disc jockey chapter here. It's called Mr. Lee J. the DJ. That's me. When I was not working the occasional night shift, this is when I was in the military, and my regular job was sitting at the front desk at the 97th General Hospital in Frankfurt, Germany. Swastika still in the ceiling. And I was the guy welcoming everybody into the hospital. And after my shift, I would go over to the EM club and I became a waiter. And I then became a dancing waiter. I would be dancing through the aisles with this great big old tray of drinks that I always seem to remember to whom they belong. And later after that, they thought, this guy's kind of fun. So the manager asked whatever I could do. And I said, well, I've always wanted to be a disc jockey. Really? Okay, you're a disc jockey. So that's what this chapter is all about. Lee J. the DJ. When I was not working the occasional night shift, I frequented the plantation club where the enlisted drafted men and women known as Women Army Corps, WACs, often gathered during our free time. Another immensely popular haunt for us that was within walking distance from our barracks was D'Angelo's Pizza Parlor, where they served the most delicious thick crust pizza loaded with salami, bologna, pepperoni, all my favorites back then. Right now I'm a vegan, so that wouldn't work. And my roommate, Terry Gangan, used to do a great impersonation of D'Angelo with his Italian accent, wielding his big French knife. The chef would expertly slice into an extra large pizza with its bubbling hot cheese, leaving a requisite and extra large pizza with its bubbling hot cheese and the isosceles triangles of cheese and pepperoni. But it was the plantation club that I was offered a job as a waiter, and I accepted. When the music began, I would start dancing throughout, up to, and all around the patrons who filled the tables. With my loaded drink tray, going around to all these tables and remembering which table, which drink went where. When the music began, I would start dancing throughout, up to and all around the patron-filled tables with loaded drinks, etc. To my delight, complete astonishment, after having served all those libations to all those partying enlisted men, women, and civilian guests, I never spilled one drop. Imagine that. Never spilled one drop of all of these drinks on this great big, huge thing dancing around through the aisles. Soon I had become known as the dancing waiter. To my delight and complete astonishment, after having served all those libations to all those partying enlisted men and women and civilian guests, I never spilled a drop. It was not long before once again the spotlight streaked across the dimly lit plantation club and trained itself on me, the dancing waiter. A new opportunity at the plantation club, and a completely new moniker created by me. Mr. Lee J, the DJ. I was thrilled that one of my roommates, Lonnie Gilchrist, aka Kilo, short for kilowatt, single-handedly constructed my DJ turntable, set it up for my debut, Mr. Lee J, the DJ. He built a plywood locker and fitted it with all the components necessary for me to spin the vinyl. I molded my persona after one of my favorite on-air personalities from the San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area AM soul music radio station, KDIA. Anybody remember KDIA, San Francisco, Oakland Bay Area? Wine country in St. Helena would even hear KDIA. On-air radio personality Bob Jones, truly one of my favorites, along with Big Daddy Chuck Scruggs, would announce his afternoon showtime presence with a smooth, rhythmic, and soulful voice that always inspired me to want my own radio show. Good afternoon, everybody. Bob Jones, Skin and Bones, early evening, late afternoon taste. Lottie-toddy, everybody. It's the motion of the ocean. If it's all night, it's all right. So that's where I got my DJ thing. And he would then kick off the set with such soulful songs as My Girl. Remember that by the Temptations? My Girl. He would kick them off with My Girl by the Temptin' Temptations. I considered such music the soundtrack of my early life. In my new gig at the Plantation Club as Mr. Lee J, the DJ, I loved choosing the songs, announcing them in my cooler DJ voice, and then watching the dance floor populate with young men and women fashionably dressed and moving to the sounds of Motown R&B hits. I had selected the hits I had selected for their dancing pleasure. At the start of all my shows, just like my idol, Bob Jones, I took the mic in hand and introduced myself. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Mr. Lee J, the DJ, the man with the plan from San Fran, the soul man. Now let's get this party started. I would then kick the set off with a record like Soul Man by Sam and Dave. That record would always get the party started. I would usually start with an evening with upbeat music, and once everyone was on the dance floor and potential couples had found themselves, I would add romantic slow jams. The 1960s were a great period in music history with talent such as The Temptations, Elvis, the Everly Brothers, the Four Tops, Aretha Franklin, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding. The list goes on and on. I still enjoy many of these classics to this day. My extroverted personality and my love of meeting new people lent itself well to this gig, and I had a ball.
I had a ball. Words to live by. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you so much. Lovely to have you, lovely to listen to you, lovely to be in your presence. Thank you again. Good night.
Because alliterations, I really play with them a lot. I love it a lot. I love it. So, it's so much fun. It's so much fun. And it's really a talent. Play with words that way. You know what I'm talking about. So, it's a powerful.
Did you weigh it and it came down to a pound?
Yes, I did.
I just reviewed a book, or read my review of a book, weighed 5 pounds.
Oh my goodness.
And I noted that in the review.
That's a tone.
Well, it was
That's something an institution would have.
sitting with that. I think the manuscript version's coming to the wolf in all its ways.
Oh my goodness.
And you see where she crosses out things. When she tried to describe dawn, she kept thinking of Homer. My God, 27 versions of dawn.
But that's before computers, where you could just change it constantly.
Alas, manuscripts, you can't do that kind of study.
It's really intimate when you can see them changing and doing their own editing and scratching out. And different.